2 months. That's all Victor Wembanyama needed to take a giant leap that normal superstars take in their second or third seasons. As we chronicled at the beginning of the year, Wemby's defense has been game-changing since he stepped on the court, so nearly all of this rapid growth has happened on the offensive end, where he's already one of the most unique offensive pieces to ever lace them up. If we look at estimates of his impact, his first month in the NBA was solid but a little bumpy. His second month showed a good amount of improvement, mostly on the offensive side, and then suddenly in the last month he looks like an all-star. What is happening? How good is Wemby right now, and is there a limit to this man's growth? Let's start with his passing, where he's actually playing some point guard in the last month at 7'4", running these inverted pick and rolls where a guard screens for him and he becomes the playmaker. Because he's so tall, he can find angles over the top of defenders on these kinds of passes. So even with a second opponent in front of him who is 7 feet tall, he's still able to hit the roll man. Now, one thing he hasn't developed yet in pick and roll is the skip pass across the court. Although that's probably coming because he maps the floor so well, knowing where other players are. And with his height, he can just see over everyone and snap passes to the second side, and that always leads to good offense. Here's another one where he's doubled in the post. The top is open, but there's a better shooter in the corner, and why not take a layup? Wemby already uses a ton of no-look passes like this to mislead defenses, because he sees so much in his peripheral vision and doesn't have to directly look at his target to slip it through. He brings this one up in transition, gets a screen, crosses the other way, then never looks at Trey Jones streaking down the baseline for a shovel. And I love his deliveries, snatching an entry pass right out of the air, and then going to the look away with one hand, and this play should be sent to the Hall of Fame. Here's some more point guarding into another one-handed pass off a live dribble, and Victor's already a good entry passer, and he's even busted out the baseball-style outlet pass, and this one gave me flashbacks to Kareem himself, who chucked these across the gym a half-century ago. At the beginning of the season, Wemby's passes weren't as crisp, and while he still has a lot of fat to trim in this area, the game is starting to slow down for him. He doesn't force it to this cutter, then threads this audacious bouncer to the second man for free throws. And here's a great example from this month of using tempo and angles in transition, then casually no-looking this lovely dime. Remember, he's doing this at 7'4", and he just turned 20, yet he demonstrates a deep understanding of all the chess pieces on the board, constantly pointing and directing teammates, so you'll already see stuff like this, where a three-pointer's blocked, and as the ball is in the air, Wemby's pointing to the open man to help Devin Vassell make the right read, and I kind of feel like Victor should get an assist on that one. Now, the playmaking is exciting, but it's his off-ball game that might be groundbreaking. Wembanyama might have the largest lob radius in the history of the sport, where a passer can just throw the ball up in the air and he'll go and get it. So even with other defenders around, he has a vertical advantage no one else can defend. This means that his teammates need to just toss it up to him and he'll go snatch it, even when a defender is in position because he's so big. This makes him a ridiculous target after setting a screen, finishing shots in midair like this, and if teams switch the pick and roll against him, he turns NBA players into kindergartners. This really isn't a change in Wemby, but in his teammates. This is going to be a layup, but they didn't understand you could just throw it over the top to him yet. But now they're learning to just lob it into his airspace like he's playing on a Nerf hoop. And again, even when he doesn't look that open, he's the only one who can go get these passes way above the rim. Heck, sometimes the pass doesn't even have to be on target because Wemby has access to his own personal airspace that's like 12 feet off the floor, and the guy barely needs to jump to dunk. Come on. And the really scary thing is that they're still missing him left and right on these lobs because the Spurs aren't a great passing team. Just throw that toward the rim and Wemby will do the rest. And we know this because we've seen the possessions where it actually happens. Trey Jones threw that pass, and moving him into the starting lineup has been a big boost for them because the Spurs started the year playing without a point guard for some reason, so these passes never came. In 550 minutes with Trey and Wemby on the court, San Antonio's outscoring teams by 8 points per 100 possessions with a slightly above average offensive rating of 118. Having a floor general who can pass certainly helps, but the other big change is shelving Zach Collins and moving Wemby to center, which opens up way more space to attack in the lane. This means Victor can put the opposing center in pick and roll, blows by him, and then look out below. Because pulling that big man out removes the only shot blocker that can really challenge him when he turns the corner like this. No Collins also creates more space for Wemby to cut into away from the ball. And even at his size, he's an excellent cutter without the rock. Teams will often put more mobile forwards on him, and he can completely shake them like this when he doesn't have to dribble. He also has a great motor, so he keeps moving away from the ball, cutting and then spinning and ducking in for a post-up and quickly making a move. And I don't love this shot, but he's still experimenting out there. He also just out-sprints everyone down the court sometimes, forcing a smaller player to switch onto him, and then you know the drill by now. So we're basically talking about an alien here who just bounces around like some Na'vi version of Steph Curry looking for lobs. It's subtle, so you might have missed it, but Victor loves to screen and act like he's popping behind the line, only to backcut the defender as they switch back to him, and this is just ninja-level movement that he's added after only 25 games. And I love how active he is on these possessions. They switch, so he looks for a back cut and a lob. Or here he starts to set a screen, floats down to the free throw line, and then when the first pass never comes, he immediately flashes back into open space and then does his thing on the catch. All of his movement creates gravity. A second defender picks him up while Nikola Jokic recovers, and that frees up the three-point shooter. And as a roll man, he's so lethal that teams are already sending multiple bodies at him to slow him down, which again opens teammates even if they aren't ready to capitalize yet. About 3/4 of Wemby's shots are assisted right now, and I actually think this is a pathway to high-level offense, because his activity and huge catch radius are a nightmare to match up with, and unlike an interior-only force like Shaquille O'Neal, Victor can also go outside and do damage on the perimeter. His shooting still probably has a long way to go, but he's been at 35% this month with moves like this. And oh, by the way, he can also attack from the outside like a smaller guard and finish that way too. And when he picks up his dribble on these inside the free throw line, he might just be close enough to dunk it. We haven't even mentioned his defense, where he's already one of the best defenders in the game because half the league is afraid to shoot it when he's nearby. And for good reason. Opponents are shooting 10% worse than expected near the rim against Wemby, one of the best marks in the league. What? What's really crazy is that despite averaging 25 points per game this month on 63% true shooting, he still clearly has more room to grow. His balance and body control are incredible for his size, yet he could clearly get stronger and more stable in future seasons. His shot selection is improving, but could still be reined in with more experience. And of course, his outside shooting can improve as he learns more tricks of the trade. Right now, Victor sort of feels like the legendary Secretariat running away from the field at Belmont. What are we watching? How far can he take this? I'm personally left with a kind of analyst's vertigo, trying to wrap my head around just exactly where this transcendent athlete is headed. And while I don't know the answer to that yet, I'm pretty sure Victor Wembanyama just authored the best month an NBA rookie has had in the last 25 years. We have a full breakdown of Wemby's recent matchup with Chet Holmgren on the More Thinking Basketball channel if you're interested. To directly support us and access our proprietary stats, check out patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. There you can see how Wemby compares to Holmgren and others as a defender, shooter, passer, and more. Let me know down below what you think Victor's ceiling is. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I hope you are having a great day.